All right, the first 3D movie of 2025 goes to Captain America Brave New World. Is this a Brave New World? I, Chase Lee Hockey here with the Blue Futon reviewing Captain America Brave New World. So, what is about? Pretty simple premise. You know what? New Captain America, Sam Wilson, and also a new Falcon going in this brave new world of Harrison Ford, becoming the Red Hulk. And it's something that's in the trailer, so that's not really a spoiler. And other new characters that are like, who's the bad guy? Who's the new Israeli chick? And is this a good time in the box office or in the movie theater, box office, whatever? Anyway, let's talk about the 3D first. I thought it was fine. Don't expect anything bombastic. Most of the 3D was done, and if you want to call it done slash good, was probably the post-production scenes or most of the scenes that were CGI heavy. Everything that was like, in the warship or just Sam talking to other people or Sam in the White House. It is just very, okay, you'll have some depth effects, but don't expect pop-out effects. If you want some pop-out effects, that's when the live action or the CGI effects that are going to occur, like the action is where the pop out effects happen. And even at that moment, it's nothing like, oh my God, that is so amazing. Look at it, it's coming after me. That drone is no, it's more of like, oh, okay, cool. So overall, I think it's kind of a mild experience for 3D for Captain America Brave New World. Now, let's talk about the movie. I do think it's a little bit mediocre. I do think it's middle. This is a straight up middle Marvel movie. Nothing spectacular, but nothing completely awful as like Miss Marvel or things like that. So when talking about the positives of the show, I did find the story somewhat entertaining with getting to know this phase whatever we're at in the Marvel universe, where we do get some cameos from back in the day, where some things are explained from the Eternals, where some things are explained from other shows, as well as bringing back the Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton, with William Hurt as well and Liv Tyler. I thought bringing that into the fold was actually kind of fascinating because we're like, oh, okay, so we're kind of not forgetting like the original OG, not the Eric Bana, Hulk, but we're going back to like, a decent way back Hulk. But also it's like, okay, I could understand why we're bringing that back and bringing Liv Tyler and things like that is kind of fun to bring in the fold through and throughout. Harrison Ford, Anthony Mackie do a good job. I do think it's hysterical. Pro-Palestine people are trying to boycott this movie because it is real chick is in the movie. It's like, I hope you guys didn't boycott, like, I don't know, September 5 or Munich or, all the other terrorist attack movies that you guys have done. Anywho, let's just ignore that. Not really, because it's the truth. But this is a fictional Marvel movie. That is like real life things that happened in the past. Anywho, let's continue on with the actual movie itself. Some of the action isn't bad. And I think that's where it becomes interesting because anything with Esposito, I always say his name wrong. The bad guy from Breaking Bad, I always say his name wrong. Guilty as charged. Even though he's very not much in the movie, even though that doesn't make sense, his slash action set pieces were the best in the movie, hands down. He had exploding cars, he had gunplay, and it felt like, you know what? This is actually done in a street. It felt somewhat like Winter Soldier, where we're going out into the environment and getting this shit on camera. Without him, most of the action set pieces felt either very staged, choreographed, or just in front of a green screen. And I think that is what the big hindrance was for this movie. The bad guy put in this movie, sure, I could understand it because it's kind of like a quasi bad guy and like kind of a revenge plot point. So I didn't mind that story arc of this movie. So that's fine. But to me, it is the reshoots and CGI, which is very, very, very noticeable. For example, there's something happens at the very end where they're at Walter Reed's hospital, right? And they're in a courtyard, and it's Tim Blake Nelson and Anthony Mackie. They show Anthony Mackie, right? And you're thinking, okay, they're actually in the courtyard. Then they do the pan to like Tim Blake Nelson, and you're like, that's a green screen. That's a green screen. Why aren't you on the same ground? Why are we doing this? Oh, wait, is this a reshoot where something didn't connect to the story so they had to reshoot this thing of like, oh, maybe people weren't supposed to get caught or something was to that effect. So you're like, okay, interesting. There's also other effects where you're just like, why does it look like that? Because there are nice sets in this movie, especially with the new Falcon and, Captain America in this movie. Like, they're in this, like, Air Force bunker. Not a bunker, but, like, a nice, like, recruiting station, even though that's a bold-faced lie. But it's like, okay, they built this set. They're actually in this set. And then other scenes, you're just like, why does it look that bad? Why are we having this horrific CGI issue? It just doesn't work, in my opinion. And I think that is due to the reshoots, because you can totally tell where they're like, yes, realistic, realistic, realistic. Then they go to, oh no, why does it look like that? It looks very, very cheap, and it just didn't work for me. But saying this is a dog shit movie, which some people are saying like it's awful, I have to disagree. I found it very middle of the road. I found it, somewhat enjoyable with trying to get, trying to push the new Avengers forward, which does this movie make you want to see who the new Avengers are? Not really. Am I curious more about, maybe Thunderbolts? Yes. Am I curious about Fantastic Four? Debatable. So overall, Captain America, Brave New World 3D. 3D, very, basic. Actually, the whole movie experience is pretty basic, but is it something where I could just kind of put on the TV and be like, huh, that's a cool scene. Huh, that's a cool scene. And when I know it's like an average scene, walk away, sure, I could do that as well. So Captain America, Brave New World will receive a 3 out of 5 Futons, which equals at 60%. So see the critics news scores gave this one. So right now, it's going to change probably when I do a lot of copy and paste. 52% with 173 of them, 82% with over 500. Critic consensus. Oh, there isn't none? How's there no critic consensus for 173 reviews? It's probably going to show up, when this review goes out. So I'm apologizing up front with that. Overall, yeah. Also, this has 5 writers. And I was like, yeah, you could totally tell there's some reshoots and they just didn't know where to put the story if there was 5 total writers in the writer room for this one. Not a good look. 52, 60, 82. Chase out here at the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. One more things, Bluetontopia. You Blue Tony. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. I'm watch the stage tomorrow week from about the uniform. I'll see a freaking one of you. And yeah, I hope, maybe with this storyline, we don't have to focus so much on Wakanda on what they could provide, because it actually kind of pigeonholes the movie if it's always about Wakanda. And I think doing that with what they did with this storyline could make it a little bit interesting, but I still need a little bit more characters to actually me to enjoy. God, it's late. I just made some word. That was some word salad. Kamala Harris bullshit.